Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're in a dance with someone you care about, but you don't know the steps? One step forward, they take two steps back. You lean in, they lean out. You share something vulnerable. You feel this incredible connection, this amazing warmth, and then, boom, nothing. It's like they've just vanished behind an invisible wall. The warmth is gone, replaced by a silence that feels colder than anything. You've tried everything, haven't you? Being more patient, more understanding. You've told yourself they just need space. So you give it to them. You've read the articles. You've listened to the advice from your friends. But what if I told you that all of that is wrong? What if the secret to making someone with avoidant tendencies not just feel safe, but fall deeply and truly in love isn't about giving more? It's about one single boundary, a boundary so simple, yet so profound, that it will flip the entire dynamic on its head. And today, I am going to teach it to you. But first, I need you to know that I see you. I see the frustration building up inside you. I see the self-doubt that creeps in during those quiet moments. You lie awake at night and you start to question yourself. Was it something I said? Did I come on too strong? Am I too much? Or maybe I'm not enough. You're living on an emotional roller coaster that you never bought a ticket for. The highs are intoxicating, aren't they? When they are present, it feels like you're the only person in the world. But the lows are absolutely brutal, leaving you feeling dizzy, disoriented, and completely alone in the quiet. And I'm here to tell you the truth. Your feelings are 100% valid. It is confusing. It is painful. And you are not crazy for feeling this way. The problem isn't you. The problem is your strategy for too long. You've been trying to solve this puzzle with the wrong pieces. You've been trying to find your way through a dense forest using a map of the ocean. It's never going to work. So today, we're throwing that old map away. It's time to show you the real path forward. All right. So let's talk about why that old map has been leading you straight into a wall. To do that, we need to get clear on the science of what's happening in their brain and in yours. This isn't just a feeling. It's a physiological reaction. When you chase someone who has an avoidant attachment style, you are fighting a fundamental law of human psychology. I call it the gravity problem. Imagine they are the moon, floating in their own orbit, and you, with the best of intentions, are trying to pull them closer into your orbit with a rope. The harder you pull, the more you text, the more you try to talk about the relationship, the more they instinctively fight to maintain their distance. Now, this is the most important part. So listen closely. It is not because they don't like you. Let me repeat that, because your brain needs to hear it. It is not because they don't like you. It's because their entire survival system, an operating system that has been running since their childhood, starts going haywire. Their amygdala, the little alarm system in their brain, starts firing off warning signals, screaming, danger, I'm losing my autonomy, I'm being engulfed, I am being controlled. For them, the threat of being emotionally consumed feels as real as a physical threat. It's a deep-seated fear that real intimacy will somehow erase their identity. Your love, your care, your pursuit, all the things you are sending them with the intention of creating connection. Their brain is translating it as pressure. And you need to write this down. You need to tattoo it on your brain. Pressure is the absolute number one enemy of intimacy for an avoidant. It shuts down the part of their brain that's capable of connection and activates the part that's looking for an escape route. Now, listen to me. This is really important. I know you chase from a place of love. You're a giver. You're a fixer. And that's a role you may have learned a long time ago, that your value comes from how much you can give, how much you can solve for other people. You have a big, beautiful heart. And when you see someone you care about keeping themselves behind a wall, your instinct is to help them tear it down. You tell yourself this beautiful story that your love will be the one that finally makes them feel safe, that your consistency will heal their inconsistency. You think that if you can just give them enough reassurance, enough love, enough proof of your loyalty, you can heal their wounds and finally prove you're the one who's different. And that is a beautiful, noble intention. But you are applying a beautiful solution to the exact wrong problem. It's like this, you're pouring gallon after gallon of water on a plant that is desperate for sunlight. You mean well, but you are literally drowning it with your good intentions. And you know what the sunlight is in this metaphor? It isn't more of your attention. It's the steady, warm glow of your own self-respect. It's the light that comes from your own life. So let's be crystal clear. Chasing doesn't create safety. Chasing doesn't build trust. Chasing reinforces their deepest, oldest fear that love is a cage. And as long as you are the one chasing, you will always be perceived as the cage keeper. No matter how good your intentions are, our goal, starting right now, is to show them that with you, love is freedom. So if chasing them away is the great mistake, and if pressure is the enemy of intimacy for an avoidant, what do? How do you create that elusive safety they crave without sacrificing yourself in the process? You stop pulling the rope. You stop trying to be the gravitational force in their life. You stop trying to manipulate the tides. You actually stop trying to control anything outside of yourself. Instead, you become something else entirely. Something steady, something certain. Something that offers profound security precisely because it doesn't move. You become the anchor. Think about it. What does an anchor do? An anchor doesn't chase the ship. An anchor doesn't follow the ship when it sails away. An anchor doesn't plead with the ship to come back. An anchor doesn't even move. An anchor simply holds its own position, steady and unshakable, regardless of the wind, regardless of the waves, regardless of how far the ship drifts. The ship is free to sail, to explore, to traverse vast oceans. But it always knows where to return. It knows there's a fixed point, a place of stability, a safe harbor. The anchor is its home base, its source of ultimate security. And this metaphor brings us directly to the one boundary, the single, most powerful boundary you can set with an avoidant that changes everything. It's not about them. It's about you. The anchor boundary is this: my emotional stability is my responsibility, and it is not dependent on your presence or your validation. Read that again. Internalize it. This isn't just a sentence, it's a declaration of independence. Now, when you embody this, when you actually live this anchor boundary, something truly incredible happens in the avoidance brain. Their nervous system, which is constantly on high alert, scanning for threats of engulfment, for signs of control, for any hint of suffocation, suddenly finds nothing. There's no pressure. There's no pursuit. There's no desperate clinging. There's just a steady, confident, unshakable presence. Your presence. You are no longer a question they have to constantly answer or a problem they have to solve by pulling away. You become a powerful, undeniable statement, a statement of self-worth, a statement of self-respect, a statement of self-possession. You are saying, through your actions, my well-being is my priority. My happiness is my responsibility. I am whole, complete, and steady on my own 2 feet. And that, my friend, is magnetic in a way that desperation can never be. For someone who has spent their whole life feeling trapped by intimacy, feeling like they have to run from closeness, finding an anchor is revolutionary. It's finding a profound sense of safety they've rarely, if ever, experienced. An anchor doesn't need the ship to feel secure. An anchor is security. And for someone whose greatest fear is losing themselves in a relationship, finding someone who is utterly secure in themselves is the most attractive, reassuring, and frankly, irresistible force. Imaginable. It signals that connection with you does not mean losing their space or their identity. It means finding a safe space to be themselves. So, how do you actually do this? How do you go from understanding the anchor to being the anchor? Especially when your emotions are running high and your old habits are screaming at you to start chasing. This is where we get practical. It's 3 simple, actionable rules. These are not theories. They're your new operating instructions. I want you to get out a pen or open the Notes app on your phone because you need to remember these. These 3 rules are your roadmap to becoming the anchor. Okay, rule number 1, and it is the foundation for everything else. Respond. Don't react. Here's the difference. A reaction is a knee-jerk, fear-based impulse. A response is a conscious choice rooted in your values, in the person you want to be. Let's use a real-world example. Let's say you had an amazing weekend together. And then on Monday, radio silence. They pull away. The reaction is grabbing your phone, heart pounding. You text, "Is everything okay?" No answer. An hour later, your anxiety takes over. Did I do something wrong? You start spiraling, creating stories in your head that you're being rejected, that it's over. That is a reaction. It's you outsourcing your emotional well-being to their texting habits. Now, what does the anchor's response look like? You notice they've gone quiet. You feel that pang of anxiety and you acknowledge it without acting on it. And then, and this is the most important part, you make a conscious pivot. You say to yourself, okay, there's that feeling. And you choose to turn your focus back to your world. You go to the gym and put on your favorite playlist. You call that friend back. You dive into that project for work. You let the emotion pass through you without letting it dictate your actions. The rule is simple. Feel the feeling, but choose the response. Don't let their silence become your emergency. This leads directly to rule number 2. And this one is a game changer. Your life is the main event. An anchor is fixed to the ocean floor. It doesn't float around waiting for the ship. In the same way, your life cannot be a waiting room for their affection. It cannot be an airport holding pattern where you just circle around and around, waiting for them to give you permission to land. What does this look like in practice? It means you book that trip to see the mountains you've been dreaming about, even if they're non-committal about going with you. It means you say a loud yes to dinner with your friends on a Friday night instead of keeping your calendar clear just in case they text you at the last minute. It means you take up that new hobby. You post the photos of you having a blast. Now, listen carefully. You are not doing this to make them jealous. That would be a reaction. You are doing this because you are genuinely, authentically living a joyful and fulfilling life that you are proud of. You must prove to them, and far more importantly, to yourself, that your happiness is not on hold. Their presence is a wonderful addition to your life, not the main ingredient that makes it whole. And that brings us to rule number 3. This is the advanced move for when their behavior directly impacts you, and you need to address it. You communicate standards, not ultimatums. An ultimatum is a threat. It comes from a place of fear and a desire to control the other person. It sounds like this: if you disappear on me like that again, we are done. It's clinging energy that triggers their fear of being trapped and makes them want to run even faster. A standard, however, is a calm, powerful statement of fact about what works for you. It's not about control. It's about clarity. It sounds like this: hey, I've been thinking, and I've realized I thrive in a relationship with consistent communication. When there are long periods of silence for a few days, it makes me feel disconnected. And honestly, that's just not a dynamic that works for me long term. Feel the difference. One is a power play. The other is a powerful statement of self-worth. You're not telling them what to do. You're stating your reality and giving them the high-quality information they need to decide if they can meet you there. That's not a threat. That is authentic, powerful. Anchor communication. So what happens when you start living by these rules? When you truly become the anchor, when you stop reacting, when your life becomes the main event, and when you communicate with clear, self-respecting standards, I'll tell you what happens. The entire dynamic doesn't just shift, it transforms. The avoidant, for maybe the first time in their adult life, won't see you as someone who wants to take their freedom. They will see you as the one person who profoundly respects it. They will see that your boundaries aren't walls to keep them out. They are the foundation that makes you a safe person to be with. And in that space, you've created that space of non-pressure and unwavering self-respect. A new feeling begins to grow. It often starts as curiosity. Then it deepens into respect. And that respect, my friend, is the fertile ground where real, lasting love finally has a chance to blossom. They stop seeing you as a potential cage and start seeing you as a lighthouse, a steady, reliable beacon they can always count on, the one light that doesn't chase them down, but instead shines consistently, guiding them home through the fog of their own fears and insecurities. They start moving towards you, not because you're pulling them, but because they are drawn to your light. And one day, it will just click for them. They will have a moment of profound realization. They will realize that you are the safest person they have ever met. And do you want to know why? Because you are safe with yourself first. You've proven, time and again, that your own emotional world won't collapse when they need space. You've shown them that your happiness isn't their responsibility. And by doing that,